I sure hope you're enjoying the story Red and Yellow, The Final Years of Vincent van Gogh. You're listening to ClearTales, a podcast for listeners experiencing mild to moderate dementia. Please share this podcast with others you believe could enjoy the stories. Share it here. And thanks again so much.
Chapter 3, Bateaux, Lavoir. Theo's ceramic coal heater, a terracotta beast with a rusted grate, squatted in the center of the room, throwing its parched heat almost 4 feet in one direction. 3 mismatched sitting chairs encircled the heater as if it were a campfire in the woods. Beyond this island of warmth, the February cold claimed the rest of the rooms, seeping through the floorboards and hanging in the air like an invisible curtain. Papers littered every surface. Books lay splayed open with broken spines, and tobacco tins competed with abandoned teacups for space. The walls had become a makeshift wardrobe. Shirts hung from mismatched hooks, scarves cascaded from nails, and orphan socks dangled from picture frames, transforming the small apartment into something between a scholar's study and a bachelor's pad. Theo closed the door behind them and stood for a moment, studying Vincent as if to make sure this was no aberration. His gaze traveled from Vincent's wet boots to the frayed Dutch mittens and finally to the top of their father's wool cap. "I did not know you were coming so soon," Theo said in Flemish, his French accent thicker than Vincent remembered. "You could have sent word, and I would have prepared a bit." Looking around, Vincent shrugged, his mouth working for a moment as he chewed on the right words. "I had no money for stamps," he said dryly. Theo blinked, then laughed, a soft chuckle that unmoored in Vincent a fond memory from their childhood. Warmth, love, and forgiveness, all wrapped in one breath. "Of course. It is such a pleasure to see you. Come in, sit, and warm yourself." He removed a pile of papers from one of the 2 chairs by the heater and replaced them with a yellow cushion. Vincent lowered himself onto the chair, then dropped his sack beside him with the careful weariness of a man who has carried it too far. For some moments, neither spoke. They simply studied each other. 2 men separated by letters, distance, and worlds that had little in common except for a shared appreciation for art. Theo clapped his hand on Vincent's thigh, smiled, and disappeared into the kitchen alcove, a space barely large enough for one. Vincent listened to the rhythms from within, the percussive sound of wood on metal, the gurgle of water coaxed into boiling, the slow crunch of bread under a knife. Where clothes were not hung, the walls were adorned with framed paintings, Dutch masters in inky colors, French landscapes brushed with restraint, and then paintings that tore at the rules, with colors that ought not to be, lines that refused to straighten, forms purposely unfinished. They made the room pulse with life, as if beauty had backed up in the building pipes and then burst onto the walls. Theo returned with a chipped Italian bowl filled with steaming stew the color of mud. He set it before Vincent, produced a heel of bread, tore it in half, and handed one piece across. "You have done well for yourself, brother," Vincent said at last, the words carrying an unspoken weight. He dipped the bread into the stew. It burned his tongue, but he kept right on eating as the warmth seeped into him like an icebreaker. "Thank you, brother." After a second bowl, Vincent picked at a lump of bread, not looking up. "I am sorry, but I come with nothing." Theo waved this away. You come with stories. Tell me what you have seen. Vincent nodded. Stories are the best gift, eh? So he began with fragments. The born-age minds, the faces hollowed by hunger, stripped of hope, gray with coal dust, the makeshift church, the goat that had more congregation than he did, the London gallery full of indifferent clients, deep in wealth and expectation, the kindnesses of their uncle, the walk from Brabant to Paris, how he hitched on carts, slept in ditches, and sketched at times to keep his hands moving. Theo listened the way only Theo could, without interrupting, without the need to rush the tale to its point. Vincent stared at the wall for a moment. After what I witnessed in Belgium and then in London, I wondered what is really alive in the world. Is the world godless? Everything we were taught growing up seemed false to me, brother. Did you see Mother? Yes, Vincent said, showing his mittens as if they told the story. When I departed, she was in bed. I left a note. He tried to laugh, but it came out as a cough. I am not welcome there. Not really. Theo broke the silence. You are always welcome here. It cheers my heart you arrived safely. Vincent walked to the window and pressed his forehead against the cold glass, his breath creating a small circle of fog with each exhale. Theo leaned in, their shoulders touching, two silhouettes framed by the crooked window casement as Paris sprawled below in a patchwork of rooftops and smokestacks. He filled his pipe with tobacco, lit it, sending a light cloud of blue drifting through the room. There, Theo said, pointing left and down, is what they call the laundry boat, Bateaux Lavoir. It's a building that sways like an old drunk when people move inside. Vincent followed his gaze to the narrow street and the sagging wooden structure. It's named after the flat boats they anchor on the Seine for women to wash clothes in the river. Vincent chuckled, surprised to hear the sound come from his own chest. It felt like the first time in years. Artists, new and unknown, have begun working inside Bateaux Lavoir, Theo continued. And over there, he pointed again, is Le Château des Brouillards, another of Paris's little salons for art, philosophy, and argument. You see, Vincent, there is a home for you here in the City of Light. You can join this new commune of expression, if you will have me, Vincent said quietly. Theo reached over and clapped him on the shoulder. A strange tension crept into the room, subtle at first, like a draft slipping under a door. Vincent sensed it in the wilt of Theo's smile, in the single tap of his brother's fingers against his thigh before they went still. Outside, the wind scraped along the eaves, rattling the loose panes like impatient knuckles. Theo's hand slipped from Vincent's shoulder, slow and heavy, as though burdened by some private calculation. There is something you must know, Theo said, his voice soft but tight, pulled thin as wire. Paris is not the same as when you left for the Bornage. Nor am I. He hesitated, eyes fixed on the outline of Bateaux Lavoir below. There are expectations now at work, among the dealers. They watch everything I do, how I spend, whom I help. His throat moved in a hard swallow. If they discover I am supporting you, if they believe you are unstable or difficult, they will turn on us both. Vincent froze. The stew in his stomach hardened to stone. You are welcome here, brother, Theo added quickly, but you must be cautious. Paris embraces genius one moment and destroys it the next. Vincent exhaled. long and trembling, watching the fog of his breath vanish against the glass. He stared into the dim night sky and felt the truth settle over him. There was nowhere else to go, no return to Brabant, where their father's disappointment lurked in every corner. No Borinage, where desperation had nearly consumed him. No London, where failure was permanent and unforgiving. Paris was it. Theo's voice, quiet but strained, cut through the churn of his thoughts. One misstep, Vincent. One moment of difficulty, and the dealers will shut their doors, and I cannot protect us both.